Hello, and welcome to another day of Living with Spina Bifida. Today is Mental Health Monday, and I'm going to be talking to you about something that might surprise you on Mental Health Monday. I am going to be talking to you about video games. Video games and their mental health benefits. Now, I'm sure to people that have no interest in video games, have no knowledge in video games, would be quite surprised to hear that video games have mental health benefits. They have physical benefits. They have societal benefits. They have benefits of many different kinds. And sure, for the people that just aren't interested in video games, it's just not their thing. They have different hobbies and interests. People that don't know anything about video games, I'm sure it's really easy to judge and just flat out bash the usage of video games because you don't know anything about it. So of course you can make up your own opinions about it if you don't bother to learn. So rather than you leaving with your knowledge of video games being bad for you, video games being for lazy people, video games being a useless waste of time, I will share with you the all-around beneficial things that video games have to offer. Complex, challenging, and ambitious. Video games have come a long way since the simple arcade titles of the 1970s, and evidence is mounting that the benefits of play go well beyond entertainment and hand-eye coordination. Here is a list of ways that video games are programming better people. They're producing better surgeons. While you may think that you want your surgeon reading up on the latest medical research rather than playing video games, but a study of laparoscopic specialists found that those who played video games for more than 3 hours per week made 32% fewer errors during practice procedures compared to their non-gaming counterparts. Video games may help people overcome dyslexia. Some research points to attention difficulties as being a key component of dyslexia. One study showed that dyslexics improved their reading comprehension following sessions of games heavy on action. The reason researchers believe is that the games have constantly changing environments that require intense focus. Video games could improve your vision. Don't sit too close to the television used to be a common parental refrain without a lot of scientific backup to it. Instead, scientists are discovering video games in moderation may actually improve and not strain your vision. In one study, 10 weeks of play was associated with a greater ability to discern between different shades of gray. Another had participants try to play games using only their lazy eye, with the good one obscured. Those players showed significant, sometimes normalized, improvement in their affected eye. You might get a career boost because certain genres of video games reward and encourage leadership traits, providing for communities, securing their safety, etc. Researchers have noted that players can display a correlating motivation in their real-world career goals. Improvising in a game can translate into being faster on your feet when an office crisis pops up. Players can become fascinated with history. Many games use actual historical events to drive their stories. Those characters and places can then spark a child's interest in discovering more about the culture they are immersed in. Parents who have obtained book, map, and other resources connected to games have reported their children are more engaged with learning, which can lead to a lifetime appreciation of history. Video games make people physical. While some games promote a whole body level of interaction, even those requiring a simple handheld controller can lead to physical activity. Sports games that involve basketball, tennis, baseball, skateboarding can lead to children practicing these same skills outdoors. Video games may slow the aging process. So-called brain games involving problem solving, memory, and puzzle components have been shown to have a positive benefit on older players. In one study, just 10 hours of play led to increased cognitive functioning in participants 50 and older, improvement that lasted for several years. Video games help ease pain. It's common to try to distract ourselves from pain by paying attention to something else or focusing on other body mechanisms. But that's not the only reason why games are a good post-injury prescription. Playing can actually produce an analgesic response in our higher cortical systems. The more immersive, the better, which is why pending virtual reality systems may one day be as prevalent in hospitals as hand sanitizer. You'll make new social connections. Gamers are sometimes stigmatized as being too insulated, but the opposite is actually true. The rise of multiplayer experiences online has given way to a new form of socializing in which players work together to solve problems. But studies have shown games can also be the catalyst for friends to gather in person. Roughly 70% of all players play with friends in person at least some of the time. Not to mention all of the online interaction you can have with other people. Through your headsets, you can talk like you would on the phone, but it's through your computer or your gaming console. If you watch Let's Players on YouTube, you are communicating with the community around you, and they have gaming conventions that brings a whole variety of people together in one place with one common interest, and you can make new lifelong friends that way. And just by playing online in an online game, you can make new friends that way. They may improve balance for people with MS. Since it is a disorder affecting multiple nerves, multiple sclerosis patients often have problems with their balance, and no medications have been conclusively effective to help. However, one study showed that MS patients who played games requiring physical interaction while standing on a balance board showed improvement afterward. You'll make faster decisions. We all know someone who seems to have a faster CPU than the rest of us, able to retrieve information or react in a split second. For some, that ability might be strengthened through gaming. Because new information is constantly being displayed during play, players are forced to adapt quickly. In one study, players who were immersed in fast-paced games were 25% faster in reacting to questions about an image they had just seen compared to non-players. Video games might curb craving. Players preoccupied with indulging in overeating, smoking, or drinking might be best served by reaching for a controller instead. A university study revealed a 24% reduction in desire for their vice of choice after playing a puzzle game. Video games reduce stress. I personally cannot stress this enough. That's a big reason why I play games so often. Calm your nerves. While some games are thought to induce stress, especially when your character has been stricken down for the umpteenth time, the opposite can be true. Major study that tracked players over 6 months and measured heart rate found that certain titles of games reduced the adrenaline response by over 50%. Gamers might be less likely to bully. Though the stance is very controversial, some researchers have asserted that action games may reduce a bully's motivation to, well, bully. One study that had players assume the role of both the hero and the villain showed that those controlling the bad guy's behavior displayed a greater sense of remorse over their actions. Video games can help address autism. Gamers using systems that incorporate the entire body to control on-screen movement have been shown to be more engaged in celebrating victories with their peers, which runs counter to the lack of communication people with autism sometimes present. A study also showed that sharing space with multiple players can also lead to increased social interaction for those with the disorder. So now I have given you some facts about the benefits of video games. I will give you my personal view on this topic. I myself have been playing video games since I could fully understand what I was doing with the controller, to the game. So basically, I was 3 or 4 when I first picked up a controller. I learned to count from Super Mario Brothers. I think I've said that before. The little coins that you pick up in Mario, I learned to count those. And I've been going with video games ever since. I'm 30 years old now, and I haven't slowed down in playing video games, and I don't know if I ever will. But for me personally, it honestly kind of hurts when I see people completely bashing video games, saying how much of a waste of time they are, how there are better things to do in life, how they are glad that they grew up in a time where they didn't have video games because being outside is so much better than video games. And I just really don't like this I'm better than you attitude because I don't like video games. I'm just really tired of this I'm better than you attitude because I don't play video games. It seems like people forget that video games are a hobby, and everyone has different interests and everyone has different hobbies. That doesn't make yours better. That doesn't make yours the only right one. That just makes it different. The biggest thing I see going around that bothers me is this one. Because memories aren't made playing video games. For me, that just hits me because I have numerous memories from playing video games. Playing video games with my dad, playing video games with my sister, playing video games with my dear friends, playing video games with my husband and my son. We have so many memories playing video games, so many memories that I will keep forever. We were having fun. We were having a good time. We were sharing something together. We were having a blast. We were experiencing something new and exciting together. We were sharing something that we both enjoyed together, and we were still spending time together. Just because we weren't outside fishing or we weren't outside throwing stones in a pond doesn't mean we were wasting our time. We were still having the best of times playing video games. I think that's the biggest thing that bothers me is people deem it a waste of time, and they see people that play video games as lazy, like they're not doing anything productive. Well, my question is, when you're on Facebook all day long complaining about the people that use electronics, what are you doing? You're complaining about people using electronics while you're on an electronic. I'm sure you're ignoring someone or something while you're on Facebook. Is that a waste of time for you? That's what you want to do with your spare time. And playing video games is what other people want to do with their spare time. And it's okay. My son has ADHD, and he has pretty severe problems with concentrating and sitting still. But once he is playing a video game, he's not a zombie. He's not in a trance. He's not in another. He's focused. He's learning. He's trying new things. He's experiencing new things with this game. And he is able to make his body stop for a minute, because it seems like the rest of the time he just can't get himself to stop. But having those video games helps him come back down to a normal level. And he plays video games that strengthen his mind, that doesn't melt his mind. He's not an idiot. He's not a lazy slob because he plays video games. He's an amazing, smart, fantastic, creative, brilliant kid. And he plays video games. And that's okay. Like I said, the biggest thing that bothers me is people that seem to forget that everyone is different. Everyone handles life differently. Everyone has different opinions. Everyone has different interests and hobbies. And video games are a hobby. And whether you seem to believe it or not, or want to believe it or not, video games do bring people together. They do benefit society. If you've ever seen a Let's Player on YouTube. We have PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, Dan TDM, you name it. There's a handful of people that play video games out there. And if you ever stop and read the comments on their videos, or even sometimes they will read the comments themselves in reading your comments videos or whatever, they will bring up how important the Let's Players are to people, whether it be to help them through a bad day, keep them company when they're lonely, or just bring them together with other people. And not to mention all of the charity work that these guys do. They raise hundreds and thousands of dollars for really amazing charities because of their job of playing video games. They've brought so many people together that enjoy video games that they were able to raise money for different organizations to do good in the world. And that's why I will never stop thinking that video games do good for the world, whether it be to ease your stress after a hard day, take your mind off of something if you are depressed or in pain, or whether it be to bring you together with your brother that lives in another state. You guys are separated, so the only way you can really connect is through video games, and you can talk on the headset like you would on the phone, but you're also doing an activity together and having fun and challenging yourself and getting through an activity. Or you can even make new friends by playing online. And I know I have made quite a handful of friends because of my interest and their interest in video games. And like I said before, the friends I already have, we have made so many amazing memories because of video games. And I also can kind of sort of put video games as the reason why me and my husband are even together in the first place, because of video games. So, in conclusion, the next time you want to completely bash and hate something because it's not your cup of tea, maybe you should stop and think about how the people that really do enjoy these things might feel for you crapping all over something they completely enjoy. Because video games are not the devil, they are not going to ruin society, and as I have said, they're really kind of a good thing.